All right, welcome back. This time we're going to go over Amazon EKS for ML workloads. But before we get started, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with anyone you know taking an AWS Machine Learning Associate exam. So Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, or EKS, is AWS's fully managed Kubernetes control plane. So it enables secure and scalable open source Kubernetes clusters on AWS. Kubernetes, originally developed by Google, has become the industry standard for container orchestration in microservices and machine learning environments. So EKS for AWS. All right. For AI and ML applications, EKS provides portability through standards Kubernetes APIs, simplifying workload migration and hybrid developments and deployments. Machine learning frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch run naturally in containers, with Kubernetes scheduling GPU-enabled workloads efficiently. Horizontal pod autoscalers and Kubernetes jobs handle training and inference pipelines at scale. Custom pipelines integrate with tools like Kubeflow, Argo Workflows, or YAML-defined workflows for comprehensive ML ops. Let's see some of the architecture, right? So the control plane runs fully managed by AWS. You don't see or directly pay for Kubernetes master nodes. AWS handles upgrades, patching, and multi-availability zone availability automatically. Worker nodes offer 3 compute options. Managed node groups let AWS provision and maintain EC2 nodes via auto-scaling groups for standard workloads with easier management. Self-managed nodes give you full control, provisioning EC2 nodes and registering them yourself with custom AMIs. Fargate provides serverless compute where AWS handles everything, running containers without EC2 provisioning on a pay per period per pod basis. And let's see, storage. Okay, let's see. Okay. So EKS integrates with container storage interface, that's CSI. So these drivers support multiple storage types. Amazon EBS provides block storage, but doesn't work with Fargate. Amazon EFS offers shared file systems and is the only persistent storage option compatible with Fargate-based EKS workloads. Amazon FSx, that's Lustre and NetApp, delivers high-performance enterprise file systems, but doesn't support Fargate. So what's the cost structure here? The control plane is free. You pay only for compute resources. EC2 worker nodes charge standard EC2 pricing plus EBS if used. Fargate bills per virtual CPU and gigabyte of RAM per second of usage. Load balancers like ALB or NLB, those are application network load balancers, are charged separately. And then add-ons like CSI drivers, which we mentioned earlier, are free, though the underlying services like EBS have their own costs. So how do you create an EBS cluster? Which we're not gonna do, but okay, let's go to EKS. All right, we're gonna walk through it, but we're not actually gonna create this and go, right? So click create cluster. Funny disk potato. Okay, whatever. All right, the Kubernetes version. Select the IAM role. Oh, we don't have one here. Ooh, node IAM role for it. Okay. The VPC to go forward. This is set to the default. All right. And we click create. From here, we'd add our managed node group, right? So in the cluster, which would appear here, all right, we go here, add node groups, and name it, a demo node group or whatever. And we create IAM roles for the worker nodes. And then we'd select the EC2 as the trusted entity, attach the policies that would be most appropriate, which would be the EKS worker node policy, EC2 container register, and EKS CNI, right? And then within that, you'd be able to select whatever you'd need as far as your operating system, typically Amazon Linux, either Linux 2, Linux 2023 for the AMI, choose the instance type, let's say T3 medium or something along those lines for cost-effective testing, and then set the disk size, usually between 20 and 100 gigabytes, right? And you can configure scaling for a minimum, maximum, and desired node group. Let's say 2 for the minimum, 3 for let's say 1 for minimum, 3 for desired, and then for desired is 2 times the desired plus 2. So it would be 8 for the maximum, right? And then select the subnets, provision, and you'd be able to go. As an option, you'd be able to configure Fargate for serverless compute without managing the EC2s. You'd be in this console and add a Fargate profile. Now, that would be a lot, right? And then you could also configure persistent storage with the EBS CSI driver for block storage that'll come with the EC2s, but that'll be another thing. So it's because we're not doing that because it takes time and it has costs. So we're just going through this. So when you're done, you would delete the node groups first so that you would stop the EC2s. Then if you had Fargate configured, delete that profile. Finally, delete the cluster itself, right? And then AWS will clean up those resources and it'll take about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10. So it'll take about 20 minutes for the cluster to launch with the nodes, then the Fargate profiles. All together would be about a 30-minute process. And then to clean it up would take about a 5 to 10-minute process. All right. Okay. And so, yeah, you see all this information here on how to delete it. And this offers CLI commands for how to delete this as well. Okay. And then finally, okay, ECS versus EKS. So EKS uses open source Kubernetes enabling multi-cloud portability and pod level control. Though the setup is more complex, so ECS is an alternative, which is AWS native with easier setup, but lacks that portability. Both support Fargate for serverless containers. EKS will integrate with Kubeflow and Argo for ML ops, while ECS connects to SageMaker pipelines. EKS really excels in Kubernetes first organizations running machine learning workloads across environments using Kubeflow for pipelines and experiment tracking, Argo Workflows for DAG-based job orchestration, and Helm for managing deployment configurations. So for the exam, remember a couple of things. When you're asked about Kubernetes on AWS, portable container orchestration, or machine learning workloads requiring GPU scheduling across environments, Amazon EKS is the managed infrastructure for the cloud native applications. So that's going to be all we're going to talk about this time. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share with anyone you know taking the AWS Machine Learning Associate exam. But before we go, remember, have a good day. Thank you.